What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. So today I want to talk about the philosophy of the Phoenix Rebirth Tarot, because this deck is not just a tarot deck. It is a system of transformation. It is a way of looking at life, pain, healing, identity, and purpose through the symbol of the phoenix. And the deeper philosophy is this: you are not meant to stay the version of yourself that only knew how to survive. Because at some point, every person goes through fire. The fire can look different for everybody. For some people, it's heartbreak. For others, it's rejection. For some people, it's betrayal. And for some people, it is grief, failure, loneliness, confusion, or losing the life that they thought they were meant to have. But the Phoenix Rebirth Tarot begins with the belief that fire is not always meant to destroy you. Sometimes the fire reveals you. It burns away what was truly never you to begin with. It was the fear, the mask, the survival pattern, the need to be accepted, the version of yourself you built just to make other people comfortable. And that is where the Phoenix philosophy begins. It begins with honesty, not fantasy, not denial, and not pretending everything is fine. Honesty. Because you cannot rise from the ashes unless you acknowledge what is there. The Phoenix Rebirth Tarot is built on the idea that transformation is not about becoming somebody else. It is about returning to the true you before the world taught you how to shrink. And that is why this deck is not only about prediction. It's not just asking what is going to happen next. It is asking something much deeper. Who are you becoming while this is happening? And that is the difference. A traditional reading might reveal a situation, a challenge, or an outcome. But the Phoenix Rebirth Tarot asks this: what cycle are you in? What part of you is being tested? What is ready to burn away? What truth is trying to return? And what power are you being asked to reclaim? Because in this system, life is not random. Life moves in cycles. There are movements of ignition, where something wakes up inside of you. There are moments of confrontation, where you can no longer avoid the truth. There are moments of burning, where an old identity, attachment, belief, or pattern begins to collapse. There are moments of ash, where you have to sit with what is pure. And then there are moments of return when you rise again, not as the person as you were before, but as someone clearer, stronger, wiser, softer, and more aligned. And that is the Phoenix Rebirth cycle. And everybody moves through it, not once, but many times over their life. We are constantly becoming. We are constantly shedding. And we are constantly being invited to stop performing and start embodying. And that is the one core message of this deck. Rebirth is not a single event. Rebirth is a way of living. It is the willingness to keep choosing truth over comfort. It is the willingness to release what is no longer yours. It is the willingness to stop confusing attachment with love. It is the willingness to stop confusing survival with identity. It is the willingness to say, this version of me is here, but it cannot go where I am going. That is not self-rejection. That is self-respect. Because sometimes we hold on to old versions of ourselves because they protected us. They guarded versions, the quiet version, the people-pleasing version, the angry version, the numb version, and the version that did whatever it had to do to survive. And I want this to be very clear. Those versions of you were not wrong. They helped you get through something. But healing asks a much more powerful question. Do you still need to live as that version of yourself that was created by pain? And that is what the Phoenix Rebirth Tarot explores. It does not shame the ashes. It actually honors them. Because the ashes prove that something did happen. They proved that something ended. They prove that something was survived. But the ashes are not meant to become your permanent home. At some point, you have to rise. And rising does not always look dramatic. Sometimes it's just setting a boundary, telling the truth, finally admitting, I am not okay. And sometimes rising looks like walking away from someone you still love because staying would cost you your soul. Sometimes rising looks like choosing peace after years of chaos. And sometimes rising looks like becoming visible after spending your whole life hiding in the light. Or hiding your light, I'm sorry. This is why the Phoenix is a perfect symbol for the deck. Because sometimes endings are initiations. Sometimes what falls apart is just making room for something more honest. Sometimes what leaves your life was connected to an identity that you no longer carry. And that can be painful. But pain does not automatically mean that you are on the wrong path. Sometimes pain means that you are leaving the wrong version of yourself behind. And the Phoenix Rebirth Tarot is built to help people understand that process. It gives language to the invisible. It helps you name what stage you're in. It helps you see where you are resisting your own growth. It helps you recognize when you are being called forward. And most importantly, it helps you remember your own power. But not the power the way that the world talks about power. Not domination, not control, and not superiority. Real power. The power to know yourself. The power to choose yourself. The power to love yourself without needing anybody else to understand it first. The power to say no. The power to begin again. The power to become whole without waiting for somebody else to come save you. And that is Phoenix power. And one of the strongest beliefs behind the deck is that your uniqueness is your superpower. The parts of you that were made feel different may also be the parts that carry you to your deepest gift. Your sensitivity, your imagination, your intensity, your ability to feel deeply, the ability to see patterns, the ability to survive what should have broken you, and the ability to love even after all that pain. And those are not weaknesses. Those are signs of fire. But too many people spend their lives trying to become acceptable instead of becoming authentic. They hide their flame because someone told them that it was too much. They silence their voices because someone made them feel foolish for speaking. They suppress their dreams because somebody told them to be realistic. But the Phoenix Rebirth Tarot says, you were not born to disappear into somebody else's definition of normal. You were born to become true. And truth has gravity. And when you become true, you stop chasing spaces that require you to abandon yourself. You stop begging to be chosen by people who cannot recognize your value. You stop making chaos into chemistry. You stop calling self-betrayal love. You stop performing strength and start embodying clarity. And that is the heart of this deck. It's all about self-return. The return to your worth, your voice, your intuition, and your purpose. The return to the part of you that never fully died, even when life tried to bury it. And that is why this deck is spiritual, but it's also practical. Because spirituality means nothing if it doesn't change how you live. It means nothing if it does not help you treat yourself to become better. It means nothing if it does not help you make cleaner choices. And it means nothing if you keep yourself trapped in a fantasy instead of helping yourself face the truth. And the Phoenix Rebirth is not here to help people escape their lives. It is here to help people meet their lives with courage. And it is here to ask, where are you pretending? Where are you settling? Where are you shrinking? Where are you repeating a cycle of your soul that is ready to be complete? And where are you being called to rise? And sometimes that answer can be uncomfortable, but uncomfortable truth is often the doorway to freedom. Because once you know truth, you can no longer unknow it. Once you see the pattern, you can choose differently. And once you recognize your worth, you cannot keep accepting the same things without feeling the cost. And that is what this deck does. It wakes something up. It does not control. It does not tell you your path will be easy. It simply holds up a mirror and says, look, this is where you are. This is what is burning. And this is what is ready to rise. And that is why I believe this deck matters so much. Because we are living in a time when so many people are going through their own personal rebirth. People are questioning who they are, questioning what they believe, questioning relationships, career, family patterns, spiritual beliefs, and old identities. People are waking up to the fact that they cannot keep living a life built around somebody else's expectations. And the Phoenix Rebirth Tarot speaks to that moment. It says you are allowed to change. You are allowed to outgrow old roles. And you are allowed to release what once felt familiar. You are allowed to rebuild your life around truth instead of fear. And you are allowed to become more yourself than you've ever been. And that is the final philosophy I want to share. Rebirth is not about becoming perfect. Rebirth is about becoming honest. Honest about what hurt. Honest about what you want. Honest about what you deserve. And honest about what you can no longer carry. Because when you become honest, you become free. And when you're free, your fire changes. It is no longer a fire that destroys you. It becomes a fire that guides you. And the Phoenix Rebirth Tarot was created from that belief, that every person has the ability to rise. Every ending becomes a threshold. That every wound can become wisdom. And every unique soul has a purpose. And that no matter how many times life brings you to the ashes, something sacred inside of you can still always return. So when I say Phoenix Rebirth, I'm not talking about a deck. I'm talking about a way of seeing yourself. You are not at your lowest moment. You are not your fear. You are not your rejection, and you are not the people who misunderstood you. You are not the version of yourself that has survived by hiding. You are the flame that remained. You are the truth that kept calling. You are the soul that still knows how to rise. And that is the philosophy of the Phoenix Rebirth Tarot. And if this message connected with you, then maybe you are also ready to begin your own rebirth cycle. Maybe something is ending. Maybe something is waking up. And maybe something inside of you is finally ready to stop pretending. And maybe the question is not, why is this happening to me? But the deeper question of, what part of me is ready to rise now? So thank you for being here, everybody. Thank you for listening. And welcome to the Tarot Rebirth with the Phoenix, a tarot-inspired system of self-transformation, truth, healing, and ultimately return. Because we are not here to survive the fire. We are here to become the flame. Have a great night, guys. Please leave comments in the section below, and I will be posting hopefully by next week when my deck shall be available. All right, have a good night, guys. Namaste.